Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Whoa.
Hey.
Since we were just talking about your weekend, Brian, I almost called Henno Tony.
There's a slight difference in the two. Very slight. Yeah.
It almost slipped out. For those of you who don't know, Tony is Brian's podcasting partner from Salty Language and best friend and pretty much twin of life.
Yeah.
Bromance upon bromance.
No, actually, it's funny. We took a picture I forgot where we were at, but I told Tony, I was like, here, I'm going to take a picture of us. You know, I hold my phone out and he leans in like he's going to kiss my cheek, basically. So yeah, I put a caption. I was like, not even on his birthday does Tony get smooches or something like that. So yeah, it was. We've done a few of those over the last couple of years. Like there's one where I've just got my head leaning on his shoulder, you know.
Well, it's the ultimate bromance.
Yeah. So yeah, we had some fun with it. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. So, how are you guys? How are you doing?
Good.
Much better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good.
Me too.
I know you've been kind of on the struggle bus, as they say, for a few days and stuff. But you look like you got your motorcycle and stuff together, and
yeah, so be in inside baseball. We were supposed to record many days ago.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was in no mood. Like, I thought I wasn't in a good mood 2 weeks ago. I was in no mood. Like, it was weird. Like, and it wasn't so much like I was just like tired.
Mm-hmm.
I was just in a really, you know what it was? I really did feel like this anxiety and stress, like a legitimate, I can't even, I don't even know what it was, but it just felt like very much like that. Just like, it's not like I've got a lot of pressure on me, but I just felt like I had a bunch of pressure on me.
Yeah. Just overwhelmed basically. Right.
That's what it kind of felt like. And then I'm not really overwhelmed. I just felt like that though. Yeah. And so, when Jen's like, can we record another night? I'm like, yes, please.
It was so funny though, because when she sent that out, because, I was going out of town for the weekend, So at first I'm like, but I figured I'd be back in time, but it was weird because on Wednesday I was actually kind of, I went to therapy on Wednesday, so I was kind of like, all right, let's record. And then you guys are both like, both are like, no. I told Tony that I almost went ahead and recorded, I should have went ahead and recorded it and called it, Crazy Life 101 is the loneliest number. And,
Awesome. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. I thought about doing it as kind of a just in case. That way, like, if, somehow things didn't work out tonight, I could always throw up like a short, like if I had sat and done like 15 minutes or something, just, a quick something, but, yeah, that's why I said it was really funny that I was like, yeah, let's do it. And you guys are both like, meh.
Yes.
So like,
We're
all
not
right.
recording on our normal night tonight, folks. We normally record on Wednesdays, as Hedda mentioned, and today we are actually recording on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are going to get a very fresh podcast when it posts on Monday.
Very, yeah.
You know what's funny was that night when I got home, I kind of had that feeling like, okay, I'm just going to do nothing, like I'm, whatever. But I'd already kind of done that the night before or something. I kind of relaxed a little bit. Cause I've been going out in the garage and working on the bike, but it's been cold here. And it's funny. Cold is really interesting when it's like, I'm cold now when it's 40, and all winter long, I'll work outside when it's 10.
Yeah. It's like I was talking with,
it's too cold.
I was talking with a friend that lives in Australia the other night, and she was telling me how cold it is there, and I was like, oh, how cold is it? And it was like 61 or 66, something like that. And I look at my phone real quick, and it's like 64 here, and I'm like looking, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm like, like that's funny, here, as soon as it hits 60, pretty much once it's 60 fairly regularly, I don't wear pants the rest of the summer or the time. It's all, shorts. Mm-hmm. And, she's like, I've got like a sweater on and, and I was like, wow. But then I thought about, like their summers get horribly hot there. So, when you think about it in that terms, it's like, well, if you take a 60-degree difference from hottest to where she's feeling cold, it's like, well, if we kind of did that here, like say 90 and then dropped it 60 degrees, well, yeah, 30 would feel cold to us too. So I was like, well, I guess it makes sense. It's just, just based on what you're used to.
Yeah. So, I'll get out there for a little bit and the sun starts to go down and it gets kind of dark in the garage. And it's like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So this was the weird thing. I get in the house and I walk in the door and I'm just looking down at the floor and I'm like, I need to vacuum right now. And I literally did housework all night.
Oh, really?
Isn't that the weirdest thing? Like you go from feeling like this, like just this feeling of pressure. But I think that's what it was, it was when things just aren't getting done, and they just kind of build, and it was, for some reason, it really helped a lot. Like I vacuumed the entire house. I mopped the floor in the kitchen. I did a couple other things. And I felt so much better afterwards. and I think I didn't get a whole lot of sleep the night before. So I went to bed like really early, woke up on Thursday. I felt great.
Oh, well, there you go.
It was fine, but it was just so strange how it's just like, I just had that weird feeling inside. And so when my weekend hit, and it was like, okay, I got to get the bike back to get, this has to happen because, the car is, I'm not even bothering with the car right now. If I'm going to put some money in, I'll put it in the bike. And so the reason I've put off putting this motor back together for 2 years is because I know it's not going to be easy. I mean, I get the concepts of it, but I still don't know how to do it. I mean, I've torn jet ski motors down all the time. But, this is a different type of thing. So there were certain parts of the process where it's like, okay, I need to watch a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of instructions, and then double and triple and quadruple check, because there's a lot that could have gone wrong. I mean, big time. So it was just great on yesterday. I had the motor together by Friday, and yesterday I was now putting parts back on of what I needed, and when they finally turned over and it didn't go, you know?
Right, yeah.
It was a good accomplishment. It was a really big accomplishment for me because I saved myself a ton of money and it ran great. And yeah, it's been a while, but I'll have transportation. Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit. If not, I'll take the bus. It's Sharon and I have been having kind of fun. I've been having fun. We've been driving each other to work, one car and all that stuff. And kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and my mom and dad just had one car.
Yeah.
And you had to make do and that kind of thing. And so it's been good. And got the rest of the wedding / vacation got paid for.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Made my last payments on Friday.
Good.
Let's see what else happened. That was really big deal. Something else happened. Wedding dress showed up. First one was total garbage.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
And that's no bueno.
Yeah, that's not okay.
No bueno.
You got to look good.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and the worst part about it was, and it was really hard, Sharon's closest friend, who would be the person that would help her laugh at how stupid this thing looks. It just does. It was the right fit for a different body type. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. But that friend of hers who would be the one that would help her, make fun of it and oh, look, it looks like this if you put it on this way. She died of cancer, a couple of years ago, and it's just there's a lot of other emotions that go into this stuff. So a few more dresses came in last week, and they weren't bad, but they were okay. And then there were 2 ordered at first, and the second one arrived this last week. And when she put it on, it was gorgeous.
Yay, we got a winner!
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
because tough. I mean,
sure, and the last thing you want, she's got to be happy with it because that'd be terrible to just go, well, I guess I'll go with this one. It's if you're gonna pay for a dress, you'd like to get one that you like, not one you're settling for.
That you really like, yeah. And so I think a lot of that is what's kind of added up to my just feeling a little out of sorts, right. I guess. And whatever pressures, I think I put pressures on myself that I don't even know I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even need. I think this goes back to the whole. Did I tell you? I think I don't remember if I talked about it on the last show about the money for our band and giving it back to everybody.
You talked to me about it, but I don't know if we talked about it on the show. I don't remember.
I talked on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something I have brought up on the show before, and this is about this whole album deal, right? Mm-hmm. That I've been struggling with for years now. And I helped my friend Dave. He's selling his house, and I was up there, and I said, how much is in the account? Because we have money set aside to master the album. He's like, I think there's about $1,400 in there, and he looked at me because I told him I told him about the new songs that I'm working on that I want to put on iTunes, and he goes, well, what about the old stuff? And I go, you know what? I'm thinking I'm not going to bother with those anymore. And it was saying it out loud. I'm still not 100% convinced I believe this.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's like, I think that's also some pressure that I just want gone.
Yeah.
And so, I'm thinking about just writing checks to everybody and giving them their money back for now. And if I ever get it done, we'll figure it out then. But I kind of just don't want to feel like I have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a hard kind of an acceptance thing to kind of say. Like I said, I still don't. It's funny that the potential topic for tonight. What was that again? What your heart wants to do, but I think that falls right in there, right? like I don't. I'm not quite ready to believe that I believe it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That I'm done with it. I still think like I'm still going to do something with it, but the bottom line is I'm having more fun doing other stuff right now.
And by you saying it out loud, that puts some levity to it, to where now you can go, wow, it's out there. I said it. And how do I feel about that it's out there? Now it's not just in my head, but I've said it to, you said it to, I'm sorry, what was his name? Dave?
Dave,
yeah,
he's our drummer.
Yeah,
and-
you've said it to someone else now, as far as, within the band. So now you've planted it. It's not just in your head. It's like, okay, well, it's a little set in motion, essentially. So you can really feel
That's
for it
it.
and be like, nah, this doesn't feel right. Or, that felt really good to get off my chest, and be a good point to analyze from.
I think because what it is, it's just gig money we got from a bunch of years ago that we just put into a bank account for this thing. And I think if I write those checks to everybody, it's going to be very real.
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Yep.
It's really going to make it real. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So I think that's about all my nutshell.
All right.
Well, sometimes I find myself, I get bogged down by shoulds.
Yep.
I should do this. I should do that.
I
need to do this. I need to do that. And
should all over yourself.
Yep, I should all over myself, and then I'm stuck, and I get so overwhelmed by the shoulds that nothing gets accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's like writing
That's
50
it.
things down on a to-do list.
Mhm.
Like, here's all the things I should do, and it's like, well, now it's like, take that and go, here are the things I have to do, like actually have to do, and generally it'll be a smaller chunk of it that's manageable. So,
Yeah, and also don't guilt yourself. I mean, all the shoulds are guilt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, and it's just guilt, and it's unnecessary guilt that you're throwing on your shoulders.
Right. I actually
saying, should do this. You either do it or you don't. And then you accept it and you move past it.
Yep. I was just talking about this in therapy, actually, because I was talking to my therapist about my drawing again. And I keep telling her, I was like, I keep feeling like, I look and I'll see pencils, like my pencil case, or I'll see markers or whatever. And I'll be like, man, I really should be doing this. And I should be, and she's like, who's putting that pressure on you? And it's like, me, no one else. It's like, there's no deadline for any of it. I mean, it's one of those things that, if there is a deadline, if I have a responsibility to someone else, that's a little different, because then, it isn't that you should feel the guilt maybe, but it's like, maybe you should try to move that way. But it's when it's just on yourself, it's like, you really control all of that. Like, you can remove that guilt, that, pressure from yourself. It's just really hard to do. It's,
Exactly. Because I've been asked that question. I've already been asked, well, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Then do you have to do this? Then don't do it. And my answer has always been, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But no one, you guys have asked it to me and I've replied, nobody's putting any pressure on me.
Yep.
Nobody except me.
Yep.
I'm the only one. And I've got all sorts of reasons why. I've got plenty of reasons why.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I totally get it. Same here with drawing and stuff. It's I always have reasons and stuff. And my therapist actually brought something up to me that I hadn't thought of, because like, from talking with people, they've brought up that if it's a confidence thing, it's like, well, you've got portfolios full of work that you've done. You've got work that you've like I have work that I posted on DeviantArt.com that from when I was in school. I've taken years and years of art schooling that you don't just move on. You have to, do well enough to get a passing grade. So I've proven time and time again that I can do this stuff. So what is stopping me, essentially? And then it's like, and when I sit down to do stuff, what I do, it's almost like I sit down, and if I don't, like, within a few minutes feel it, I'm like, nope, done, and I just run. And my therapist was like, sit down and try it at some point, and she goes, but stop when you hit that point and analyze why. What are you afraid of? Like, in the moment, she's like, because I think that's what you're not doing. She's like, I think you're trying to figure it out away from the fact, rather than capturing the moment and going, okay, how am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling that? Well, those kind of things. And she's right. I never have sat down in that moment and gone, why can't I do this? What is stopping me? So that was a pretty interesting,
it sounds like it.
Yeah. Twist on that for me. So that's definitely something that, I'm going to try to do. And, same with just overall, like with my anxiety and stuff. I've been doing a lot of it where I feel something and I try to just work through it in my head as far as, why am I feeling this way? What can be changed? What can, like trying to get my thinking back correct or not correct, but, getting it back to factual instead of distorted. And
Yeah.
And she was like, but, I keep going in there going, it's, I'm still having trouble. And she wants me to start writing it out. Because, she's like something to, she's like, when you're using your head, she's like, that's where the problem is. That's where all of this is. You're fighting yourself. She goes, so when you write it out, it's something you can just get it out of your head essentially, rather than keeping the conflict up in there. She's like, it's worth a try, and she's right. It's worth a try, cause what I'm doing isn't working. So I told her what Heno has, brought to us a few times about the, if you don't like it, you can always go back to what didn't work for you before, and she laughed at that, and she was like, exactly.
Did you really?
Yeah. Thought it was funny. So
you always have your misery back.
Yeah. It's so yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. It was another one of those times where I walked out of therapy kind of, it's always nice when you walk out and you have kind of a game plan, or you feel like you've made some room somewhere or whatever, so it's given me something to work on. Have I applied it yet? No, but but yeah, I went up to, the cottage with, Tony and his wife and our friend Dev and Tony's sister and her husband. And, it was nice just kind of, I don't know how to word this because people are going to think about like my life and be like, like what stress, but it's when you change venues, sometimes you can kind of just leave stuff behind you for a minute, and, just going up there, it was just nice. I had a good time. It was, pretty relaxing for me and stuff. So it's, coming back kind of feeling a little recharged, but not feeling like, oh, I wish I was still up there. Like okay with coming back to, cause I knew we were going to be recording tonight. I was excited about that. I'll be posting the 300th episode of Salty Language, which is a big deal to me, and it's, kind of an interesting, we just had our big, we had 100th episode last week. It's kind of a cool, snowball effect this week of, a couple milestones plus feeling good out of therapy, a decent weekend, it's just feel good kind of going into the next week here. So,
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's about what I got for now, I think, for what I've been up to. So
nice. Well, I've actually had an interview. So, at a new place, obviously, which has brought up a bunch of very mixed feelings for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's tough to know, and how often do we think about if we had a crystal ball to help us make decisions?
Yeah.
I would love to know what's the right decision. It's but there's even songs about it. It's like, do I stay or do I go?
Yep.
Do.
The truth is, whatever decision you make is the right decision.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe.
Maybe not in 10 minutes, but
wrong.
Yeah.
Because we always want, an either or, right or wrong.
Yeah.
What's the right decision? But you're right.
Mm-hmm.
There is no wrong decision because either way I go is going to be correct because that's where I'm at.
Yep.
And I'm making the decision. The only wrong decision is not making a decision.
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it's just a very interesting place to be, and trying to kind of figure that out. It's also very, very positive, knowing that someone finds your work history and you as an employee desirable. There's a lot of positivity in that, and it's very gratifying to know that your work is respected.
Yep.
Yeah.
And desired.
Yep.
So, so that was really cool. So I have a second interview on Monday, and I'll report to the podcast, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, hopefully some good stuff comes out of that, and then I'll just have to make a decision on what I want to do next with my career.
Yeah.
But so that's fun. my mom and my brother came in for the weekend. So I got a chance to see them. They both came up Friday, and so we had a good chance to hang out with them and talk with them, which was fun. My mom lives in Florida. My brother lives in Southern Ohio. So that was a lot of fun. And then, went shopping, bought some stuff from the house, had little, not to say buyer's remorse, just more like sticker shock when you saw the receipt.
Yeah. Sure.
Because I don't regret buying the stuff that we bought, but I do regret how much it cost.
Right.
Really wish it didn't cost as much as it did. But yeah, so it's like a lot of positivity, a lot of kind of up and down emotion, but all in all, I'm a good spot.
Good.
You know?
Yep.
So
excellent.
I was very excited. Yes. It's all sorts of good stuff. It sounds like everybody's in a pretty good spot right now.
It's true.
Yeah, feels like it.
So which brings us right to our topic today is talking about personal self-inventory. And it's very important to take time and ask yourself simple but life-exposing questions. And the reason you want to do this is it really helps to identify where you're at with things and kind of get to the bottom of those overwhelming feelings, or basically just gives you a starting point. You can a baseline of where you're at in life and how you can play off of that baseline to make things better or, worse, which we don't want to do worse, but all that good jazz. So some of the questions, the first one is, are you generally happy? Now, this is something I ask myself, and I would say, coin Brian's term, happy-ish. Are you happy-ish? For the most part, I'm happy-ish. I can say that.
Well, that's the
thing.
That's like when you ask yourself if you're happy, you don't have to get into, the minutia of it. It's just like in general, am I all right? Yeah. Like, am I content? Am I okay with where things are? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect in every little aspect. It's just, am I okay? Like, on an average day, am I just going to get up, go do what I want, and then, be fine? Then, yeah, you probably can answer yes to that. Like, it doesn't have to be, am I making all the money I want to make? In my romance, you don't have to go through and break it down. It's just real quick blanket is this is the way to do it. Because if you dive in more than that, you're going to start picking it apart. And then the answer will never be yes.
Correct.
Or it'll be,
all general.
Yeah.
Overall general feeling of contentment or of happiness.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a question that I use on a very regular basis. It may not actually be daily, but it's pretty close to daily. That when I wake up in the morning, I kind of do a series of check-ins with myself. And one of those check-ins is, am I happy?
Yeah.
And if the answer is ever no, that's the moment I start changing.
Right. Because that's when you start getting into the minutia.
Yes.
If, like you said, if you wake up and you're like, I'm not happy, and not in a, like I wake up days where I'm not happy, but there's a difference a little bit in there, but it's, but if you just in your general answer there, like, no, you know what, I'm not. And it's like, well, can I, then you start breaking down the rest of it. Can I make changes? Where can I make changes?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Why am I not happy?
Yeah.
What can I do to make myself happy? And that's when you start making, start on the path of change.
Yep.
Which we're constantly having to go down that path of change, and happiness is not a stagnant point that you can just sit and land on and say, okay, I'm in Happyville.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in Happyville for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Wish it could happen that way, but it doesn't.
Well, just as our nature really doesn't allow us to do that much.
Yeah.
Because once things become normal, they're boring. So then you want more. It just is nature. Humans want whatever it is we have. We just keep wanting more of, Like, oh, this made me feel good. I want more of it, until you're drunk or high or crashing because you've,
or overwhelmed by whatever you've done too much of.
Yeah, pushing your adrenaline too far, whatever it is. Yeah, it's,
Yeah. Well, the next one, which is not too surprising, is, are you generally sad? So are you happy? Are you sad? Mm-hmm. Oh, there's this old kid song, isn't there? Oh, I'm thinking If You're Happy and You Know It.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't
yes,
know.
sorry. Brain went into a different direction on me there. But the next one, do you feel free or do you feel trapped? I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's...
I think all of those, like so far, these three questions can be broken down, into something a little more specific. But do you feel trapped? Is there something in your life that is making you feel trapped? And like something like, are you happy? Well, is there something in your life that is disturbing you? Is sometimes more easier to address than am I happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's like, what does that mean? Happy? I mean, what level? Is what level of happiness is supposed to be sufficient?
Yeah.
So it's more like, well, is there something disturbing me that's keeping me from saying that I'm happy?
Right.
Or it's all of the follow-up questions.
Yeah. It really is.
These are all about the thought-provoking, getting you on those paths.
Yeah.
Asking those questions.
Yeah.
Do you feel free or do you feel trapped? I feel pretty free right now in my life, but I can definitely say at different points in my life, I could say that I would have said I felt trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or do you feel limited in some way? Is somebody or something keeping you from doing what you want to do?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like my answer would be, I feel trapped. And it's because of my mental illness and just overall situations that have spawned from my mental illness. So it's, it's not even I don't even have to think about it. I feel trapped.
Yeah.
Because I do, I've used that word plenty of times in therapy to describe how I'm feeling. So, yeah.
And it is a gut feel.
It is.
I really think it's something that comes right straight from, you don't think about it. You just,
but it could be,
it is or it isn't.
As Heno's talked about, like money things before on here, he could feel trapped by how he's felt about that kind of a thing, and, whether he does or not now, I think at one point you might have answered that you felt a little trapped by that, so, and it's, it doesn't have to be everything, but if there's something like what is making you feel trapped, how can I alleviate some of that? Yep. And, that's, like you said, the follow-ups become very important then.
Exactly. Another one is, do you live with joy and love, or do you live with sadness and fear?
That's an interesting one.
Because I think with that one, the trick is to not say, because me personally, I want to live in joy and love.
Yeah.
So it's like, but am I living in joy and love, or am I wanting to live in joy and love and just, projecting that onto things?
Yeah.
Could be overthinking it though, but.
Yeah, again, that one's an easy one for me to answer, but it's the joy or the fear one. Yeah.
Like I know I do live in joy and love. I know I do. I mean, my gut reaction to, it's, and I think that's what a lot of these questions are really good for, is what's your initial right off the bat answer, right? Yep. So like for, am I happy? Well, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with where I live. I'm happy with what I have. But some people will be just like, man, I don't know if I am or I'm not. Okay, next.
Yeah.
And something's going to lead you to something, like you say, do I live in joy and love? And I say, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
There's not a question about it.
Right.
I know how I feel in my heart when I have certain things, when I'm faced with certain situations in my life, I know, or when I hear something in the news or whatever it is, I know what my reaction is.
Yeah.
And it's not fear, and it's not, I'm not cynical about it.
Yep.
I know that. And so then it's like, okay, let's go back to happy now. All right. Yeah. If I live in joy and love, then I'm probably pretty happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, I think that's also,
now, do I feel trapped? Okay. Yeah, maybe,
Yeah. But I think that's why the "Am I sad" is a good follow-up for "Am I happy?" Because if you go "Am I happy?" and go, "I don't really know," and then go, "Well, am I sad?" and it's be like, "Well, no, I'm not sad." And like, okay, well,
sad,
for the sake of now, you're happy essentially. If you're not, you know, you may not be as happy as you could be, or on a 1 to 10, you might be 4 or something, but you're still there instead of sliding down into the sadness scale, and
that's it.
That's why I think you're right. It's at first blush, you just take the gut reaction. And if you don't have an answer, that's okay. Move to the next one. I think these, like we've said, these seem to be fleshing it out pretty well, to where you can, even if you got to the end of this, you probably could go back to the beginning and go, okay, I can answer these a little more truthfully now, or definitively, not truthfully,
Yeah, it's great.
And again, without diving into it too much at first, because, you could end up analyzing it all day.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Don't overanalyze. You gotta, kind of take it what it is. And real quick, I think the best way to answer these are real quick answers.
Yeah.
The gut answer, what first comes to mind. Another one is your life in balance, or are you living from one dramatic episode to another?
That one's a little tough, but I think if you have to pick one or the other, I would say mine's unbalanced. Because I keep going through depression cycles. So, until that balances out, I'm not going to feel balanced,
Right. Do you have self-love? Do you love yourself? I think that's a good one. I would say yes, I do.
And my answer to that would be I'm trying. That's really the most honest answer I can give.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good honest answer.
Yeah, because I do feel like I'm doing a better job of it, but I still don't feel like I'm there, That's one of the few ones I think that's the only one where it's really kind of a gray spot for me. The others I could pretty much give you a yes or no and here's why, but,
Yeah.
But then again, I guess semantically, if you say, do you have self-love? If you have any, then yes, answer, you do have self-love.
Yes. Do you give back to those less fortunate, or do you hold on to your possessions tightly and believe in scarcity?
That's a great, that is a question that I think a lot of people don't understand, and it goes pretty darn deep, because that's something that when I used to podcast with Angela, we talked a lot about, and it took a lot of work to realize what it means to live, the difference between living in scarcity and living in abundance. And those are very internal questions. Most people will look at that right away and think, oh, that it has to be literally like like our physical stuff, right? Do I come from a standpoint of, because a lot of people from a financial standpoint, if they've come from a place of lacking, where let's just say their parents were always penny pinching because they might have had all the money in the world, but the attitude was, we don't ever have enough and we need to, conserve. You're going to have this emotional, and you're going to have something inside of you where you come from this standpoint of I'm never in abundance.
Yeah.
I never have enough. And it's not how many things you have, it's how you feel. And it comes back to this thing that I've always tried to, it is one of those little aha moments where when I look at my own consumerism and retail therapy and other issues, I go, there's a Buddhist on a mountaintop somewhere living a little shack, and he has everything he needs.
Yeah.
And the place could be virtually empty, and he is happy, and life is good, and he is full of abundance.
Yeah.
So why can't I be like that?
Right.
That's a great question, but I think it's a little more complicated.
No, I totally agree with you.
People realize
you're totally right, because I immediately was thinking of, basically like, do you give money to the poor, or do you just use your money to amass things? And that really is just scratching the surface of it. You're totally right. And the other is, especially for self-inventory, really more important of a question than what you do with your physical goods. Like, what do you do, like, emotionally and everything? Yeah, and after hearing you say that, because at first I was kind of, like, not sure where I felt like I fell, but I certainly fell into the scarcity. You know, that I live in a keeping my stuff and, you know, because of fears and stuff like that. So that's, again, I want to be the other way, but because of a lot of that stuff you were just talking about, to where I feel in a lot of ways that I never have enough, you know. And it isn't even just physical stuff. It's just, whatever I have, it just doesn't feel like enough, you know. So.
And there are people out there that have lots and lots and lots, plenty, and feel empty.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, and that's not a stuff problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
I always used to tell guys that one rose presented appropriately is worth a dozen presented inappropriately. And I think it kind of applies in this scenario, because what you're doing when you're giving, you don't have to give much. You just have to give the quality of the gift. So if you have a dime and you give someone a penny, that's 1/10 of your worth. You know, you're not just giving away a penny, you're giving away 1/10 of your worth. You know, and that's a big thing. You know, if someone had $1 million and they gave away a penny, that's not 1/10 of their worth. It's going to be a different weight behind it. You know, and that one rose presented is not just a rose. You're giving of yourself, you're giving of this meaning and this emotional gift that you're giving to someone, versus if you just hand someone a dozen roses and go, here.
Yeah. Here, this is what the commercial tells me.
You're not giving anything of you. You're just giving them 10 roses. Or, sorry, a dozen, 12 roses.
A great example of that actually is a few hours ago, I saw a commercial on TV where it shows this woman with like this, I don't know if it's a necklace or a bracelet, but she's got the container, you know, the case for it. And you hear a guy talking and he's like, I gave her a whole note without saying a word or something like that. And she opens to this, you know, beautiful, you know, like I said, I don't remember if it's a bracelet or a necklace. And I'm just like, the note would probably mean as much or more to a lot of people. Like, I said it out loud as soon as I saw this commercial. And it's like, again, and I've agreed with Jen for years on this, because she was always like, please don't ever buy me the jewelry that they only promote in the commercials, you know, because that doesn't show that you thought, that doesn't show me that you thought of me. That just shows me that you were like, oh, that's what I should get, you know?
Like yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
In essence, a beautiful statement.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take anything away from those, from people who have bought them or who, you know, cherish them. Go free. Great. I love it. If you truly mean that sentiment, great.
Yeah.
But when someone is feeding you, it's like a Hallmark card. Sometimes Hallmark cards say what you can't express yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's why you buy the card, because you're like, oh, this puts into words what I'm feeling. Great. Same thing with the jewelry. If it truly puts into words what you're feeling, great. But don't just buy 3 stones in a row and say, this is from yesterday, this one's for today, and this one's for tomorrow, because that's what the commercial told you that's what it means.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. That means you listen well.
Well, that's not all bad, but...
No, it's just not bad. It's just, you know, you still bought something very nice and very lovely, so you didn't do a bad thing.
Right.
But you could do it better.
Yeah.
By giving yourself with the gift, not just the possession.
Right.
Giving of your thoughts, your feelings.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, and that is really true. I think I'm at a point where I've tried over the last few years, like with myself, to like doing the podcast, being more open, talking with people online and stuff about what I've gone through. When they talk about their things, kind of trying to, hey, you know, there's help for people, and, you know, showing some people some resources or whatever, or, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, that's kind of where I think in my head, that's how I'm trying to move away from the scarcity toward abundance, is, you know, trying to give parts of me kind of like, I don't want you to deal with this for as long as I did, so let me help you, and just doing these things to kind of, you know, put myself in that place, because that really makes me feel better than buying a new video game does or whatever, it's so, it's more rewarding in the long run. So that's kind of what I've been, that's how I would say I'm working toward it. But again, if you just ask the question at first blush, I'm living in scarcity. Yeah, I'm not living in the abundance, part of it, at least not at this point. Again, a lot of these, it's like, well, I'm working there, but it's like, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not there,
Yeah. Do you hold resentment, or do you have forgiveness?
That's going to be a tough one for a lot of people.
I have forgiveness, but I'm not as good as I could be at it.
Right. I feel like I'm in
more work to be done there for me.
Yeah. That's probably that way for most of us, though, really. But I feel like I'm living more in a place of forgiveness than resentment now. I don't resent people the way I do. And you can tell, like, Henno's probably can attest to it a lot, where I'll talk about something and I'll be like, whatever, I put it behind me and moved it, like it just, I'm not carrying that weight anymore. And I think because I realized that, like, going back to the whole, let go or be dragged kind of a thing, it's like, I can let go of it and just move on, or I can hang on to it like crazy and just be consumed by guilt and all that. And it's just not worth it. It's just, I try to resolve things and move forward, So I think for me now, I would say that I'm living more in that than I am in the resentment,
I can't remember what cartoon, but there's a cartoon with a superhero in it. He says, "Onward and upward." So,
onward and upward.
Onward and upward, ho, or something like that.
That sounds like you're just adding things on there now.
No, I'm serious. I have to look it up, find out who it was.
I'm looking it up right now. Yeah.
Somebody says onward and upward.
All right, fair enough.
And it takes off.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep talking. All
right, and
I've done several rather intensive and extensive inventories. So if I have any resentments, I need to go back and do another one.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It does come up as a C.S. Lewis quote from one of the Narnia books. Is that potentially where you're thinking of it from? Onward and upward to Narnia in the north? No? Okay. Because I know you...
No.
Okay.
I want to say it was like the like Hong Kong Fooey or something comes to mind, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I'm not really finding anything.
All right, maybe I'm making things up. I've been known to do these things. Never quite being sure with me.
There's a political cartoon.
Maybe you're thinking of up and Adam Ant.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yep.
All right. Do you have dreams and goals that you're striving for, or you just live day to day, allowing whatever shows up to form your life? I kind of let things form my life. I must admit, I do have some dreams and goals, but in the majority of my life, I kind of let things come, and then I act. I take I make decisions based upon what comes my way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would probably say that's more of where I am too. It's weird because I do have dreams and goals. Like I always have that stuff, but I don't think I get up and my actions don't work toward those dreams and goals. My actions are more based on, oh, this happened. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then that's more of how my day is. So that's why I think I fall in the second one instead. Because that's how I'm interpreting it anyway, is that since my actions don't move me toward the others, I'm not living in that as much.
Interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Henno?
I think one thing that reminds me of is, are you the pinball in the machine?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or are you trying to be the levers?
Yeah.
It's like, are you actually doing any direction, or are you just allowing the world to bounce you around from one thing to the next? And
Mhm.
I think a lot of that ties back into the other questions that have already been asked.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't feel happy, if you don't feel joy, if you have a more of a tendency, if you are a resentful person, you are going to have outside influences dictating your mood at any moment in the day.
Yeah.
It's everyone you see, it's everyone you deal with, because you have no inner peace, no inner joy, no inner confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a great overarching kind of a question that really can says a lot. You know, it's like, do you find yourself being bounced around? Okay, well, let's go back to happy. You know,
Yeah. Right. Yep.
you know, is the outside world dictating, you know, how your day goes and what your mood is like?
Yeah.
And see, when you put it that way, I think I might change my answer a bit, because you're right. I make active choices about not letting people ruin my day and not letting things get to me in certain ways. Mm-hmm. It's like I try to prioritize them and keep them in the place that they're supposed to be, you know, but I make active choices to do that.
Yeah,
so,
it's like that, you know, when, I'll go on vacation when this happens, you know, versus I'll go on a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and
I'll do this when the time is right. Yeah.
Yeah. Making actual choices and there is a difference. I mean, you know, those people, if you really think about it, you're going to think of friends that fall into that, you know, that archetype.
Yeah. That's why I said, I think I fit more into that. I am, you know, a pinball. I'm working on my way, getting away from that, but it's, you know, I'm still more in that category than I am being in the levers category. You know, I still don't do enough proactive things in my life. I'm way more reactive than I am proactive. So it's,
that's a great way of putting it.
And so as a result, that's why I figure I almost have to put myself in the other one for now. But again, what's nice for me, the way I'm looking at these is it's like, okay, here's where I am. Do I see myself moving the other way? And I've done that with a few of the questions as I've answered them is, well, I'm doing this, trying to move, you know, at least to the middle ground, you know, even if it's not all the way into the other, at least moving more that way so that it, you know, hopefully someday I can, am I happy? Yes. Am I this? Yes. You know, instead of, well, you know,
yeah.
Oh, am I sad? Oh, there's the answer, you know? So, yeah.
Well, that's pretty much the end of the questions. There's a few others and stuff, but I think that we had a really good sampling of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the takeaway from this for everyone is self-assessment. Ask yourself these questions. I go through with a friend of mine, and I do this myself. It's really great for someone who's dating, or even in any type of relationship, friendship or romantic relationship. If you come to a time where you're not happy, I always break it down. Like, is my life better with this person in it? Does this person bring me joy and motivate me to be better? Do I like myself more when I'm with them than without them? And if they were not in my life, would my life be better? And it's very similar to kind of that self-assessment. That's kind of a relationship assessment. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can't answer those questions in a positive note, that's when you need to start thinking about changing how things are going. Mm-hmm. Because if you are concerned or questioning, you know, was this person good for me in my life? Break it down to the brass tacks. You know, if they weren't in your life, would your life be better? The answer is yes. Then you may have to take some action.
Yeah.
You know, and it's similar to this type of thing. If you can't answer, are you happy? And the answer is no, it's time to take some action.
Yeah, do some more specific work. I mean, there's so many different ways to you know, there's the most basic type of inventory on a daily basis, and that is like, you know, what did, you know, did I approach the world with joy? Did I approach the world with compassion? Did I approach the world with love in my heart? If I didn't, do I need to have a conversation with someone tomorrow?
Yeah,
do I need to right some wrongs?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real basic one where it's kind of just your gut feeling.
Yeah.
It's also a great way to start the day. It's like the list of these questions is also a great set of affirmations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, today I'm going to try, I want to be happy today. I want to have joy and compassion today. I'm not going to be the pinball today.
Right.
These are great little things to start the day. And then at the end of the day, look back and say, and this is something that is a huge part of 12-step and Buddhist philosophy is, upon awakening and upon retiring, what do you do? Make a commitment when you get up in the morning to have a certain type of attitude today. Just make that commitment to even if you make it to yourself.
Yeah.
Just you're like, hey, today I'm gonna go for this. And if you find yourself at some point in the day going, oh, I'm reneging on the commitment I made. Well, can I still make it? Some days you can't. Some days it's just done.
Yeah.
But then and that was one of the things for me that I realized that was a real simple and effective tool that helped my end of the day evaluation, if you want to call it that rather than inventory, a lot cleaner is when I just made a commitment in the morning to approach my day from a certain, standpoint, a certain point of view, a certain, who do I want to be when I look in the mirror at the end of the day today?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so many of us, and I was one of them, don't feel like we can change.
Yeah.
That we can't. But this is a tool. These types of questions are tools to help us change. Even if it's just for an hour today. Can I do it differently? Because if you can do this hour differently, then maybe you can do a half a day differently. And then eventually maybe a day differently. And then you can do your life differently. And you can change. And these are this is a great little touchstone.
Yeah.
Is to, all right, if your answer to am I happy is no, it's like, okay, well, let's see if we can be a little more onto the yes side tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even like you said, at the end of the day, if was I or am I happy at the end of the day, essentially, and if the answer is no, you'd be like, well, why not? Like today, what kept me from being happy, or what did I allow, depending on how you want to word that, or how could I have behaved, whatever, like I said, however you need to word that, but yeah, that's a great idea. It's a great end of the day inventory. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially looking at it's like doing an employee review, like it's like, okay, well, you're great, but here's what you can do better. And it's the same idea. You can look at it and go, I did pretty well today, but I'd like to work here and here. So tomorrow I'm this person, like you said. I think that's great advice.
And one of the keys, and this is very difficult to do for most of us, avoid introspective thoughts because we may have a tendency to beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
We may have a tendency to, basically flog ourselves, and so we avoid it. We don't want to do it. That's because we're putting emotion to it. That's because we feel like I'm solely responsible for these things. This is a reflection of who I am. These kind of thoughts. Well, these kind of inventories really should be thought of as an inventory, just like somebody would at a business.
Yep.
It's not a judgment.
Yeah.
It's just an accounting.
Right.
You're literally saying, how many of these things do I have? How many do I not have? We don't need to judge them. We just need to take a look at them to see what's in stock. That's it. Today is not the day to go through and clean the shelves off. Today is just a day to just look at what's over there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can worry about cleaning those shelves another day.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great thing to do with kids as well. and very light, of course, adjust it to the correct age that you're working with, but get kids started on it as well. Have them tell you one really, really good thing that happened that day, and ask them some of these questions and just see what they say. And like you were just saying, it's not emotional or anything as far as, you don't have to do any deep soul searching or anything. Just kind of get them thinking along these lines.
Yeah. Like what, and first thing in the morning, what are you grateful for today?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw something out there.
Yeah.
The sun.
Yep.
The fact that I put my feet on the floor and I didn't stub my toe today.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yep.
Start the day with a thought of gratitude. See how it helps you during the day.
Yeah.
Always good things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, I think we're about ready to wrap up. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you want to continue the conversation.
Hold on. I have two things I want to mention real quick before we go into that stuff.
Okay.
One is, we did an episode a long time ago on FOMO, and we've also done an episode on social media about the pros and cons of it with mental illness and stuff. I wanted to point out a podcast that I point out a lot on here, which is Hidden Brain. They have an episode number 68, which is called Shot in Facebook. And it basically talks about FOMO and how people compare themselves to social media, and how over time, basically you're trying to keep up with what the perception you see other people putting out there on Facebook, and how you're just doing yourself a disservice, and that everybody who is basically doing this essentially is keeping the spiral going amongst all of them. But again, it's a really short, it's like half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that episode. It's a really good episode. So good. If you want to, hear more about FOMO and, which is fear of missing out for anyone who may not know, or about how social media can affect us in a very negative, light. There's a couple stories of people and how it affected them and whatever, how, I know everybody's tied into it, but it is something that kind of give you a minute to maybe where you want to go, maybe I need to take a step back here and there to make sure I'm still connecting elsewhere, and not just looking at the best of what people are wanting to put out there, because most people don't put out. It's weird because the way they post it is like a lot of people don't put negative stuff on there. They'll only put more positive stuff. And I know a lot of people are probably going, oh no, I've seen plenty of negative. It's like, yeah, that's probably mostly political. But, but it's true. A lot of people won't put, I don't write much about, my depression on my Facebook. And the mentality for a lot of people is no one wants to read that, Yeah. So anyway, but it's a good episode. I highly recommend it for anybody. And again, it's a great podcast. It's one that every time it pops up in my queue, it's the first one I listen to. Partially because it's short, but also because it's one of my favorite ones. The other thing I wanted to mention, which I thought was interesting, and I know maybe we could talk about down the road a little bit, was, have you guys heard of this show that's on Netflix called 13 Reasons Why?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
No,
all right, well, I'm not going to get too far into it, but it starts with a girl who has committed suicide, and she leaves a set of tapes to her friends that tell people who she feels are responsible for her suicide.
Ooh.
And I'm 4 episodes into this.
Ooh.
Yeah, and each episode is one side of a tape, basically. And it focuses on one character. And there's one character who gets the tapes at the beginning of the show, and it looks like he's the common thread all the way through. But it's a very interesting. It's interesting so far. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about everything yet, but it's something that maybe a lot of people maybe should watch, because it does give a good kind of feeling of how kids bully each other and how people don't realize that it's bullying. How they may see it as kind of, oh, that's no big deal, but it adds up because they've already had one thing, then you get another, then you get another, and eventually it's a lot,
Sure.
So yeah.
I have a question for you about this.
Okay.
Do you think shows like this, are they, because I can see how that's very useful.
Yeah.
It demonstrates it through this media what this can be like. It gives you this, it dramatizes this, right?
Yeah.
Or can it also be hurtful in that now everyone starts looking for this?
Yeah, I'm. That's kind of why I've only watched 4 of the 13 episodes, so I want to see all of it to kind of get my overall opinion. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. Is, I'll be honest, at this point, because of how this girl has done that, it's like, even if these kids did these horrible things to her, it's like, it's the ultimate. It's such a. I don't want to sound. I really don't want to sound insensitive about this, but it's such a, forgive my French, it's such a dick move to point the finger at someone and say, you're the reason I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's done this to 13 people. So it's like the ultimate, middle finger upon her death. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that as time goes on here, because you do feel bad for her because of what she's gone through. But at the same time, I'm having a little issue with that, because that's such, it's like, if you don't feel you can exist, that sucks. I hate that. I wish people could get help for these things, but it's like, to pin it on any one person, kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of factors, but it's why I said I don't want to sound insensitive about it or whatever, because I'm not. It's just, it's just the purely character part of it. Like, when I remove the rest of it, the character part of it kind of feels like, come on, that's, it almost feels like, when you get fired from a job and then you tattle on everybody.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to minimize or seem insensitive about it. I'm really not trying to there. It's just that first feeling that I got from it. But, we'll see. By next week, I'll probably have it done, because, I only stopped watching it because I went on
more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear other people too. So if anyone who's listened or listens to this has watched it, let me know your opinions. Cause I'm very curious, cause I've been reading a lot of people where they're like, I have to show this to my kids because, it can help make them more aware of what's going on. And, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of stuff that goes on regularly with kids that I remember from when we grew up that, just stuff that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a huge deal,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, that was the second part. Okay. So.
Cool. Well, actually, while we're talking about different things, reminded me, I wanted to mention this. There's a book that have been getting a lot of rave reviews from friends. I have not had a chance to read it. I will be reading it soon, though. It's You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life.
Nice. And
it's a book that they use humor and real life examples, but it's fairly short. It's only about 27 chapters, so it's not too big of a read. Mm-hmm. But I've heard amazing things. So
okay,
there you go, folks. There's a book recommendation out there for you.
I think that might be our first book recommendation. Well, unless maybe no. You know what? I think back when we talked about body issues, we talked about I can't remember her name, but you remember who you guys talked about on Angela's Awesome podcast, the woman who wrote the book about
health at every size.
That's what it was. Yeah, I didn't want to get it wrong. I knew you knew it. So,
all right. Yeah. Well, with that, if you want to continue the conversation with me and with Brian and with Henno, you can reach out to us through our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com, our email address at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com, or me directly at Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life, and that's Jen with a G. And how about you, Henno?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. Find me on Facebook, Henno Heiter. And reach out if you want.
Yeah. You can also find the show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. My other podcast is Salty Language, which can be found at salty_language on Twitter or at saltylanguage.com. That show is very not safe for work, so you've been warned. Our Facebook group is facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast if you'd like to come join us there. You can also find us on tangentboundnetwork.com. So go check that place out. There's a bunch of other shows and such that, you might find some new podcasts to be interested in. Then, if, you could like to help the show out a little bit. If you use iTunes, please leave us a subscribe, and please leave us a review. That helps us get noticed more in the searches and whatnot. And same with if you use Stitcher or any other podcast app, there's usually a share or a like or whatever button. So please use those. And, if you'd like to write up something nice or, off our Twitter feed or something like that, or something recommending us to your friends, we greatly appreciate it. That looks like all those things. So you can, I totally forgot where I was going next. It's been too long. Just remind everyone that we're not doctors, therapists, or trained professionals. We're just three people sharing our experiences and tips. The show should not be seen as a replacement for therapy. If you need help, please reach out to somebody. There's plenty of organizations out there. NAMI.org is a great one. We've got other resources over on our Facebook page or group if you need some help finding hotlines or whatever. So, please hit that up or contact one of us. We can forward it to you. But anyway, if you need help, please seek it out. Again, there's tons of people out there willing to help. You just, you do have to make the first step. It's a tough one. I know, I've been there. And then also, if you're feeling like you might harm yourself or others, please reach out to someone. Please don't act on it. Reach out to somebody in your support group or support system. I always say group in your support system. Call 911, go to a hospital, tell them you're having a mental health crisis. But again, I say if you're feeling suicidal or homicidal, that kind of thing, if you're planning anything, like if you've got plans drawn up or you're writing a note, those are the times to seek help before it gets too late. So please do that. Like I said, there's tons of people out there willing to help and that dedicate themselves to helping people. So please take advantage of that. And then the last thing I usually say is, reach out to somebody. Tell them you appreciate them. Tell them you love them. Whatever it is, you might make someone's day. You might save their life. And worst case scenario, you probably feel better about yourself at the end of the day. It allows you to check off one of the things on the list we talked about today, because then you're acting with joy and, and you're also not being, I can't think of it, or you're living in abundance at that point.
There
little
you
bit.
go.
So
live in abundance.
Yeah, there's no lose in it. So just,
exactly.
Reach out and just share some love, folks. And that's it. That's all I got.
And something that actually I have tattooed on my leg. Sing a song, everybody. Now, there's a song called from Mary Chapman Carpenter that's called Sing.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are, sing a song, make it simple to last the whole night long. Doesn't matter if it's good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song. There you go, folks. Be an individual, sing a song. Have a good one.
Wiggle your toes. Keep breathing.
Wiggle your toes.